Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, or welcome if you are new. So, today we're going to, of course, take a look at another movie from 1980. It's part of my 1980s horror series overall. Um, and this is less of a horror movie, more of an erotic thriller, slasher, giallo. There's a lot of different buckets you could put this one in, but the movie I'm talking about is Dress to Kill, which I have with the DVD special edition version, which this came out around 2001, I believe. So it's not the Criterion Collection, which I think is the most recent release of this movie. But yeah, Dress to Kill, never saw it before, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So, oh, I should mention too, the reason I'm even familiar with this movie, I never knew anything about it until about 4 years ago when I watched that documentary on Shudder, In Search of Darkness, and they go through all the different years of the '80s, and they talk about different scenes, different moments from all the different horror movies or thriller movies, and they brought this one up, and I was like, that looks interesting. So that was actually what caught my attention, and that's why I went out and purchased it to watch it. So just wanted to throw that out there. But Dress to Kill is a 1980 American erotic psychological thriller film written and directed by Brian De Palma and starring Michael Caine, Angie Dickinson, and Nancy Allen. It depicts the events leading up to the brutal murder of a New York City housewife before following a prostitute who witnesses the crime and her attempts to solve it with the help of the victim's son. It contains several direct references to Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 film Psycho. Boy, does it ever. So basically, the film opens with sexually frustrated housewife Kate Miller, who's attending therapy sessions with New York City psychiatrist Dr. Robert Elliott. During an appointment, Kate attempts to seduce him, but Elliott rejects her advances, stating his unwillingness to jeopardize his happy marriage. Kate has planned to spend the day with her teenage son Peter, an inventor, but he has to cancel as he reached a critical point in his research for the entry to the city's science fair. Thus, Kate goes alone to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where she unexpectedly flirts with a mysterious stranger. Kate and the stranger stalk each other through the museum until they finally wind up outside, where Kate joins him in a taxi. They go to his apartment and have sex. Hours later, Kate awakens and decides to discreetly leave while the man, Warren Lockman, is asleep. Kate sits up at his Kate sits at his desk to leave a note and finds a document indicating that Warren has contracted both syphilis and gonorrhea. Shocked, she leaves the apartment, but having hastily forgotten her wedding ring on the nightstand, she returns to retrieve it. The elevator door opens on the figure of a tall blonde woman in dark sunglasses wielding a straight razor who violently slashes Kate to death in the elevator. Upon discovering the body, Liz Blake, a high priced call girl, notices the killer in the elevator's convex mirror and subsequently becomes both the prime suspect and the killer's next target. So yeah, that's the setup and the premise for Dress to Kill. As far as the cast goes, we have Michael Caine as Dr. Robert Elliott, Angie Dickinson as Kate Miller, Nancy Allen as Liz Blake, Keith Gordon as Peter Miller, Dennis Franz as Detective Marino, and David Margulies as Dr. Levy. So yeah, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for the 1980 erotic thriller um, giallo slasher Dress to Kill. Um, I really enjoyed this movie. I have to say, I wasn't really sure. As I said, I only saw a few scenes from that documentary, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. But I was really impressed by it. And let's just get into it, starting with the things of why I was impressed by it, the things that I liked, the pros. And you got to start with the director here. Brian De Palma directs the hell out of this movie. His directing really stands out from his camera work to the whole nonverbal sequence that he has in the art gallery between characters, to the elevator scene and how that's shot just so brilliantly. He has a vision for this movie, you can tell, and he just directs the movie about as well as anyone could have. And so I think he's the biggest star of this movie, Brian De Palma. And of course, I've seen other movies that he's done. Carrie, obviously, in the horror genre, but also, I mean, he's directed in all kinds of genres and just one of the great directors of the last 40 or 50 years for sure. So he's the first thing that stands out. Just fantastic directing. I really do enjoy and like the way the story unfolds, a lot like Psycho, as it mentioned in the premise for the movie, but it has those psycho vibes going on in terms of the structure of it. Um, where we're following one character at the beginning that we kind of come to like and care about, and then halfway through the movie, or a little less than that, even all something happens where we have to focus on a different character, and I don't know if it's done quite as well as Psycho, but that's definitely what they're going for, and I think it works pretty well. I think because of De Palma's direction. That we're asked to basically like and follow this other character, and it works really well. Casting has a lot to do with it too. But I just like that whole setup where we're following one character for the first third of the movie, and then something happens where we're on a journey with another character. Just very well done. The performances by the entire cast is really good, and I enjoy the entire cast here. You know, Michael Caine, what can you say? He's one of the great actors. I've always been a big fan of his. You have some great side characters here with Keith Gordon from Christine, most notably, and Dennis Franz, of course, from NYPD Blue, who's again playing a detective cop in this movie, which he's really good at playing a bad guy, kind of a slimy guy, as he does in Psycho 2, or some sort of law enforcement officer, especially in New York City, because he has that look and that demeanor about him, like you would expect from a New York cop. And so I really enjoyed him. But I think the two leads here that have to carry the movie at different aspects of the movie, Angie Dickinson and Nancy Allen, they both do a really good job because of the directing and the writing, but they're also very likable and easy to follow. Um, they're different. Their characters are very different, and one is a frustrated housewife who's doesn't feel like she can embrace her sexuality, and the other one is doing nothing but embracing her sexuality, kind of more free and open about it. And so they're very different in that regard. But I thought they both gave really good performances and very interesting characters to follow throughout the movie, which makes the movie easy to watch, frankly. The score and the musical cues used are fantastic, especially the powerful thriller vibes through the whole art gallery sequence in particular. But really, throughout the whole movie, it has a very thriller score, very effectively done. Um, so that's an aspect I really enjoyed. I don't know. Personally, I didn't see the twist of who the killer was coming. The overall mystery in the second half of the movie, I thought, played out very well with fun twists and turns, including an unforeseen character that we're not expecting. But yeah, I don't know. I maybe I should have picked up on it, but I was just watching and enjoying the movie, and I think that's a credit to De Palma that I didn't pick up on the fact of who the killer was. I just maybe I wasn't looking in the right spots, but I thought this movie played out really well, and I really enjoyed it from the twist and the mystery aspects of it. There is quite a lot of nudity in this movie. It's an erotic thriller, of course. So if that's your thing that you're looking for, it's here for you. And I should mention too, I actually watched the theatrical version of this movie. I didn't even watch the unrated version, so I can only imagine there's probably more nudity, perhaps. But because I wasn't familiar with the movie, I just wanted to start with the basic theatrical version. I'm sure next time I watch it, I'll watch the unrated version. But yeah, if you like nudity, this movie has it, especially at the beginning and then at the end, I would say. So um, it's not a, let's see. This is more of a mystery thriller with giallo vibes, I would say. So it's not a straight up horror movie, but if you're if you're okay with sort of a mystery thriller suspense kind of movie, this is definitely one of the better ones that I've seen. And then finally, I really like the New York setting, especially the whole sequence in the subway, especially in the late 70s, early 80s. It just has that very dirty, grimy New York feel to it, as we've seen in other movies like Maniac and uh, there's a whole bunch of them just in the horror genre. But yeah, just that New York setting I really enjoy in this movie as well. So yeah, a lot to like here. I really like Dress to Kill. Those are my pros. As far as cons go, or things that didn't work for me, there's really only two. I'm not a big fan of the cliche ending dream sequence that this movie has, though I recognize that there would be some trauma for the character that has this dream sequence. It's just kind of a treat. It's a cheap and lazy trope that's used too much, especially during this time. It seems like just about every horror movie or thriller movie does this, where it grabs onto the whole dream sequence. I'm just not a big fan of it. And then the other part is there's one part of this movie that does go a little bit too much psycho, and it's the part of psycho that I don't really like, and that's the psychiatrist speech exposition dump basically at the end of them towards the end of the movie, not at the very end, but almost down to a T. They're asking the same questions and he's giving the same explanations, it felt like. And that's a little bit too, you didn't need to do that. I didn't feel like this movie, just like Psycho, they could have avoided that whole thing. We clearly understand what happened at this point of the movie as it's visually shown to us on screen. So I almost hold this movie again. I almost hold it more against this movie than I do the Psycho because in 1960 audiences were very different and they might have needed more explanation. This is 20 years later, and I just feel like with what we've seen and having Psycho come out 20 years before, we don't need the whole psychiatrist explanation. So that's just another thing that I really didn't like about this movie. But for the most part, guys, this is a fantastic erotic thriller. I don't really seek out erotic thrillers, but I like the cast in this movie. I like the director a lot in this movie. And just the structure, the way it breaks down, the way it unfolds. Yeah, this is an 8 out of 10 for me as an erotic thriller. The rating's kind of hard because it's not a straight up horror movie. So if as a horror movie, I'd probably give this more like a 7 out of 10, but it's not that. It's an erotic thriller slasher kind of movie, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for that. Dress to Kill from 1980, 8 out of 10. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen this movie. Go ahead and comment down below in the comments what you think of it. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Why not? I know some people have an issue with that it really doesn't age that well, that it's a movie that you couldn't make today, but you could say that about a lot of movies from the 70s and 80s. There's a lot of movies that you wouldn't be able to make today or that wouldn't be well received today. So I understand where they're coming from with the whole um, the whole trans thing and all that that's incorporated in this movie. But I really had a good time with it. I really did. And I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell down below, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this series or any of my great horror content beyond this series throughout the rest of the year. With that being said, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're enjoying this 1980s horror series, the first part of 10, where we're just taking a look at 1980 over the next couple months. And with that being said, thank you for watching. And as always, stay scared. Bye.